That's the fake beer opening because we don't have one.
No beers today.
Sad.
We're going to be really boring and sober.
It's a sad day in the abyss today. It's been a crazy goddamn week.
Yeah. Well, 2 weeks, right?
Crazy 2 weeks, yeah. Didn't get to record last week. Cleet wasn't ready this week.
Started a new job, so...
Congratulations.
A lot of work.
Yeah. I started a new job 2 months ago. Lots of new stuff happening.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's quaint. Welcome to the Abyss, everybody. We're back for another night of shenanigans.
Back for action.
So, have you watched Midnight Mass on Netflix?
It sounds familiar, but I don't think I have.
Super, super good. Like, I'm behind. I think it came out like 2 years ago, but it's from Mike Flanagan. He did Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor. Really good. Like, probably one of my favorite shows I've seen in a minute. I think you would really like it.
I'll have to check it out.
Really, really good. And the new Saw movie comes out this week. I'm excited about that.
I'm not into Saw anymore, man. It's literally just the Fast and Furious of horror.
You take that back and me. The Fast and the Furious is awful. I will agree, but Saw is nothing
Saw's
like it.
getting there, man. It is. Yeah.
No. I will agree. There's a few that's like, okay, that's not my favorite one, but they're good. I really like them. I'm still going to watch it. I heard The Nun 2 was really good, but I haven't seen that. Okay, so we are going to do a Reddit episode, hence the crazy weeks that we've had. So we're going to do, what is the scariest experience you've ever had while home alone?
Ooh.
What's your scariest experience you've ever had home alone, Cleet?
One time I was home alone, and my parents came home, and they're like, who was in the driveway? And I was like, what? Like, yeah, when we were pulling up to the house, someone was in our driveway, and they peeled out and just drove off, and I had no idea.
Really?
Someone was chilling in my driveway while I was home alone. I think it was like 12.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
You could have got kidnapped right out of your home.
Yeah, maybe. Could have been kidnapped. Who knows? Could have been on a milk carton.
We may never have had a podcast from that fateful night. I was home alone once, probably 12 years old. I had my dog with me. And I swear to God, like I heard footsteps upstairs and the toilet flush. Dude, I ran out so fast. I've never been so... I ran to the neighbor's house with my dog. I'm like, can I just stay here till my mom gets home?
You heard a toilet flush?
I kid you not, dude. It was so wild.
A ghost gave you an upper decker is what happened.
Probably. The ghost really needed to shit. And it couldn't wait.
So you just heard footsteps and a flush.
It was like rapid.
I guess that ghost had some toilet humor.
Yeah, a little bit. Scared me, though. Try telling my 12-year-old self that. I'm like, I don't care who's up there. It's not... I'm home alone.
It was
a
ghost.
Okay.
It was a ghost.
A ghost took a shit.
All right, I'll jump in. You want me to go first?
Go for it.
All right, this one is Mad Domestic Scientist. Woke up one night to the realization someone's standing over my bed.
Oof.
I somehow reacted instantly and grabbed my night table, one-handed, and hit him with it. A night table? A whole night table?
With one hand?
Oh my God.
He's
Who
a
is this guy,
Superman?
Shrek? Oh, we went in two different ways.
That wasn't even close. Like, why would you think Shrek?
He's got big hands. I mean, I don't see Superman picking up a whole nightstand.
If that doesn't speak volumes to our character, I don't know what does.
Anyways, I kept hitting him with it. I wasn't even fully awake yet. The commotion caused my neighbor to call 911.
It's going to be his mom.
Turned out it was our landlord, and he had been doing it for a while. What a creep.
What the hell?
I messed him and myself up pretty good. It's funny what adrenaline does to you. I could barely pick the table up one-handed if I tried. It's so heavy. I've been facing the table laying half on my side, half on my stomach, and swung it back-handed like a tennis racket and tore all my muscles in my arm, chest, and the muscles that attached those with my sternum.
Yeah, it's definitely Shrek.
I think that's what it's called. He, on the other hand, wound up with a cracked skull, a broken eye socket, broken nose, and a few less teeth.
Jesus.
It happened so fast, it didn't even occur to me to be scared until it was all said and done. I was calm right up until the mid-interview with the cop when all of a sudden adrenaline left and shock set in.
He just starts screaming. Oh my God!
My legs gave out and I started to shake so hard. My teeth were chattering. The cops were very impressed with me. I remember.
We're so proud of you.
We're so proud of you.
You did that all one-handed?
I recall hearing one of them snidely telling the guy that he got his ass beat by a girl and asked him how it felt about it.
This is from the Kentuckian. I was unemployed at the time. My husband would come home at 11:30 every day for his lunch break, and it was basically the only thing I had to look forward to during the day, so I tried to be awake for it. I went to bed shortly after he left for work with the plan that him coming through the door would wake me up and I could have lunch with him before going back to sleep until dinner. Sure enough, I heard a noise that sounded like my husband coming home, so I got out of bed to check it out. I walked halfway down the stairs when I suddenly felt like I was walking through molasses. I could see the front door, a little hazy and distorted, but it was there. I knew my husband was on the other side of it, I just had to get to it. I pushed my body as much as I could, reaching for the door, but I couldn't make it. I was back in bed, realizing I had never left. The door, the stairs, it was all a dream. I don't hear anything, but figured my husband might already be home, so I get out of bed to greet him. My living room is all wrong. Where the utility closet usually is was a second set of stairs. My husband wasn't home to explain this to me. He's just doing renovations while she's home. Hey, I built a whole new staircase.
Yeah, and while you were asleep.
I look at the stairs for a long time, being reminded of my grandpa's creepy office. I hear my grandpa's voice. He's been dead for 5 years. I'm dreaming. I need to get up for real. I'm in my bed. I can see every detail of the room. I must be awake. I get up and go to the door, to the hall. I'm back in bed. I get up, make it to the hallway, back in bed. I move to my husband's side of the bed. I'm back on my side. I hear my husband come home. I hear him call my name. I scream for him to help me, but he doesn't come up. I scream harder. Nothing. I realize no sound is coming out. I begin to thrash my body, hoping that he would hear it and save me. Nothing. Still in bed, on my back. The exact same spot I had been for hours, or minutes. I have no idea how much time has passed. I just know I need my husband, now. I keep trying to move. Sometimes I make it downstairs, sometimes I barely get my feet off the bed. Sometimes it's hard, like my body is made of jelly. Sometimes I move so effortlessly that I'm positive I can't still be dreaming. A few times I go to my husband, only to see him swept out of the home by an anamorphic tornado.
Like the Tasmanian
devil? What the hell is
devil?
happening? Probably. Or shot by a home invader rapist.
Oh, yeah.
Or chased after his car that is driving on its own. I kept responding in my own bed with less and less hope that I was experiencing reality. I don't know how I finally woke up, but when I finally did, I had to test my reality by picking up objects, going outside, flipping channels. I still wasn't entirely sure my husband came home, an hour later, that I wasn't still dreaming. I've had sleep paralysis dreams before, but this was by far the most intense. I didn't nap home alone for a while.
All you gotta do is pinch your cheek.
That's it?
And you know if you're sleeping or not, yeah.
Pinch your cheek, like your butt cheek?
You can, whatever cheek you want, man. This is by Ox Bio. I used to get nightmares about blood-sucking aliens when I was little, but I had just started to realize that since the fear was all in my head, I could control what the aliens did. This gave me confidence, and one night I thought to myself, come on, aliens, do your worst.
Wow!
The door started shaking violently, and items around the room began to vibrate. At this point, I was pretty terrified, and I just lay in bed waiting for it to stop and wondering what the hell was going on. Turned out it was an earthquake, not a major one. I live in the UK, but enough to scare the living crap out of me. Someone wrote, so what you're saying is earthquakes are caused by aliens.
I mean, if there's anything we learned from the alien episode we did a couple times back, you can blame anything on aliens.
Yeah. Goddamn aliens.
Anything.
Long story short, aliens.
Aliens. Okay, this is from Potentially True. Right, starting off to a good start. 3 experiences. Hey, we're getting 3 for the price of 1.
2 of 3 are false.
Just 2 truths and a lie. 1. Was alone in my room, door closed at night. I use headphones so I can get 3D sound, and it helps to kill the monsters.
What?
I was playing the game Fear, and for some reason I decided to look over my right shoulder. First of all, that game is terrifying.
Never heard of it.
Absolutely terrifying. I remember my uncle had it when I was younger, and he's like, here, play this game, and it was in my grandma's basement. Pitch black. He had it all set up on this little desk, and I played it with headphones and everything. And he had gone upstairs, and I didn't realize.
See ya.
So I'm downstairs by myself playing this game, and you're like chasing this like paranormal little girl through like this haunted whatever. And she just randomly pops up out of nowhere, and you're climbing a ladder, and she just boom right there. I jumped so fucking hard. I threw the headset off my head. I'm like, nope. And he's upstairs. What a jackass. Anyway, there standing in the dark right behind me is a pale-skinned, dark-haired girl, just like the one in the game. See, told you. That keeps trying to make you jump. My roommate had a daughter who didn't live with them, had come visit. She let herself into my room and was standing there watching me play this game for who knows how long. I did not jump, scream, or do anything on the outside, but my heart nearly burst through my chest as my mind tried to figure out how this can be happening.
He's like, yeah, I hit her.
I was going to say, like, hopefully you didn't punch her right in the face. Like, you're not going to be like, yeah, I knocked her out completely. She's missing a couple teeth.
That part's not true.
Like, is that the 2 truths and a lie part? Number 2. I was again alone in my room in a different location, and it was during the day. This guy just has rotating rooms. It was a pleasant day with a strong breeze, not too hot or humid. DC suburbs, so this isn't too common. I'm playing a game, and for some reason, I keep hearing a scratching sound come from behind me, so this guy just needs to stop playing video games.
It's his roommate's kid. I'm just kidding.
The kid just came back into my room and hit her again.
Get a lock on your goddamn door, bro.
I turn around in-game several times, but the sound comes and goes, and I stop thinking about it. After the 4th or 5th time, the sound is getting really odd, and I can't shake the feeling that it's something coming from the game. I turn around, and a squirrel freezes in place. It had come in through an apparently faulty screen on the window and was trying to open a box of crackers on my bed. I grab something and start swinging at it to scare it to getting out of the house, and I had to basically herd it out the window over several minutes before it gave up and left. After I got the screen fixed, I caught it hanging on the screen, trying to get it to pull away enough for it to sneak back in, multiple times. Number 3. It wasn't scary at the time, but now that I have kids, this scares the shit out of me. I was 8 years old and had been watching my parents drive for the past few weeks. I'd study each move that they made so I could set up the car, put it in drive, release the e-brake, and work the pedals. Oh, damn. One day, both of our parents were out and my older sister was in charge of watching us. I took myself and my 4-year-old brother on a trip around the dirt roads surrounding the fields by the house. I made sure I could turn the wheel well enough to make the turns and I could back up. I then parked it right back where I had found it and put the spare keys back where they kept them. My parents found out when I was in my 20s, and my brother brought up that incident as proof that I knew how to drive before getting my license at 18, even though the family didn't ever give me time to practice in the car. Wow. 8 years old. Driving around.
Let's go drive a car. All right, this one is from Deleted. It was late summer's night. My father was away for the night, so he left me alone in our countryside house with the computer and some snacks. I sat there with my headphones on, watching the TV series Forensic Files, when I felt a slight vibration on the floor. Thinking it was my father, I removed the headphones and sat quietly. After a few seconds, I got up to investigate, and in our fucking doorway was a woman. She was in her 30s. She looked at me like she wasn't expecting anyone and said, "Is your father here?" And I said, "He wasn't." She left. I didn't watch any more Forensic Files that night. What? I guess just some random woman.
She knew that Forensic Files was on. She's like, I haven't seen this episode yet.
Wow.
Let's have a watch
I
party.
was his dad's mistress.
Okay, this is from Teal Blue 3. At the age of 12, I was babysitting my 3-year-old brother while my parents went on a scavenger hunt with my dad's fire department. We lived on 10 acres at the end of a private drive. I was watching my TV when I saw headlights ripping down the road headed for our house at an alarming speed. It was a minivan, and as soon as it reached our house, all the doors opened and about 7 people with flashlights split up, surrounding the house. I was terrified. My immediate reaction was to place my little brother in the pantry and tell him not to make a sound or come out until I told him to. This was before cell phones, so I was forced to grab the kitchen phone and stretch the cord to the limit while I crouched by the table. I knew police would take too long, at least a half hour, and by then, who knows what these people could do. I called my neighbor, and he told me to stay put, and he was on his way over. The flashlights were all over the place. I heard whispers of, "Hurry up," and "What now?" out on the back deck and by the front door. It seemed like forever when my neighbor's car decided to scream down our driveway. When it did, the others screamed, "Get in the van!" They all piled in and peeled out of the driveway around my neighbor, throwing rocks everywhere. He quickly turned his car around and chased them for as long as he could. He came back to the house with the license plate number about 10 minutes before my intoxicated parents returned from their night out. Turns out no one told my parents that our house was part of the scavenger hunt and that one of the clues was to count the trees in our backyard. Jesus. When my neighbor pulled up, they thought it was the next team hot on their heels for the win. The license plate belonged to the chef of the department. I couldn't stop crying and was so mad at grown-ups for not understanding the fact that would have completely terrified the children.
How many trees do they have in the backyard, though? That's what I want to know.
They're on 10 acres, dude.
Oh, Lord. All right, the next one is ice swords. It happened a few years ago. Wow, that's really a hook of a story. I was living with my roommate in a townhouse that had a garage. My roommate used the garage and kept the remote opener with her. One long weekend, she was away on vacation and I was home alone. Around 11 p.m., I was watching something in TV, and I distinctly heard the garage door open. I was surprised because my roommate wasn't supposed to be home for another 2 days. I waited for a couple of minutes to hear it closing and for her to come in, but it didn't happen. By now, I was scared, and I called her mobile. She said she is 300 miles away partying. I'm having a fun birthday.
It's my birthday.
Cautiously, I went down and saw that the garage door was opened. I turned on the lights and searched everywhere for any intruder. I locked the door and made sure that no one was hiding in the entire house. I also locked my room and didn't come out until the next morning. Next day, when I came down, there was an empty Coke bottle sitting on my kitchen island, which wasn't there the previous night.
Oh, damn.
To this day, no idea what happened that night. Needless to say, I never stayed alone in that house after that.
Okay, this comes from Deleted. I was 16 and had just gone to bed. Probably about 2 a.m., my mom and dad were out at some party, so there was no car in the driveway. I'd just gone to bed and my head lay next to the window out onto the street, and I could see outside through the side of my blinds. I saw a guy in all black walk past and thought nothing of it. About 5 minutes later, he walked past again and slowed down as he did so. Thought that was a bit weird. Anyway, about 20 minutes passed, and then suddenly I see this guy and start walking down the driveway. I heard him start knocking on the door and was just thinking, shit, he's gonna want to burgle us, but there's no way I'm answering the fucking door to him. Instead, I just decide to shout, "Dad!" as if I wasn't the only one in the house. At that point, the guy steps back and looks me dead in the eye through the crack in the blind. I knew he couldn't see my whole face, but he just stands there looking at me and starts pointing at me. Oh, damn. He was there for about 10 seconds, just staring, then turns around and sprints away. Not as scary as some here, but still freaked me out. That is fucking scary, man.
I
almost
bet.
got burgled.
Don't want to get burgled. This one is also deleted. This happened to me about 2 years ago. So I was walking around my house after a nice hot shower. I was naked because I like to air dry sometimes.
I was naked. Just so you know.
By the way, this was at night. Anyway, I hear the windows rustling. I go to the window and can only see darkness. Absolutely nothing. Plus, the lights in the living room were making it hard to see through the window because all I saw on the glass was my own beautiful naked reflection.
Oh my
Really?
God.
Is that where we're going here? All right. I pay no mind to it and go about my business singing my favorite Babyface song out loud. Is this like a joke? A few minutes later, I hear another window rustling, this time with tapping. I go take a look at what the noise was, and the same thing, nothing. I continue my streak of ignorance/denial and think nothing of it. It happens a third time. This time, it's on the completely opposite side of the house. Now, I'm a little mixed, freaked out and pissed off because it's some psycho playing games with me or some stupid kid playing games with me. I grab a kitchen knife and slowly approach the window, like a crocodile closing in on a target. What? Keep in mind, in addition to being highly uncomfortable due to the situation of window tapping, carrying a sharp object with my defenseless jumblies hanging out wasn't exactly soothing either.
Jumblies.
With a single swift motion, I roll up the blinds and shout, "Hey, who the fuck are you?" It's me, RC.
It's me, RC.
It's me, RC, your brother-in-law. Let me in. God damn, I've been trying to call you the entire time. How long were you in the shower for? Did you change the code to the garage or something? What's the knife for? Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So, I'm naked. Yeah, I saw a baby face, huh?
This is from Deleted. I live in an apartment building, 2nd floor. I was sleeping and woke up to screaming outside. I got up to check because maybe someone was in trouble. Yeah, I know. I live on the second floor and all, but still a good Samaritan. I have to pass the bathroom in order to get to the living room sliding door. As I was passing by the bathroom door, I heard it vibrating. As I leaned closer to investigate as to why the door was vibrating, I heard a loud thump on my sliding door. After a few moments of calming myself down and seeing if I pissed myself, I went to check the door. About waist high were 2 children's handprints. I called my husband at work and asked if he could keep me company until I fell back asleep or till he came home. Random kids' handprints? Jesus Christ.
That is creepy. All right, this one is from Deleted. Kind of a lengthy backstory and probably not as scary as the other comments, but it was enough to make me move to a different place. My boyfriend works nights, and so I'm home alone with our son most nights during the week. We live in a smallish, very safe town in the Midwest where violence and murder rarely happens. When our son was just a baby, probably only a month or 2, my boyfriend had this acquaintance from work. The dude is a middle-aged guy, had just moved to town and was kind of down on his luck, according to my boyfriend. The guy didn't have a car or know anybody, and so my boyfriend, being the nice guy he is, would give him rides back and forth to work. I met the guy a couple of times. He seemed like a nice guy, always calling me sweetie and cooing over the baby. After a couple of weeks of helping the guy out, I guess he got comfortable enough with my boyfriend to whip out a baggie of meth.
Whoa. Just nonchalant. It's math time.
On the way home from work, which my boyfriend politely declined. Turns out the reason the guy didn't have a car was because he had just gotten released from prison after doing 15 years for aggravated assault/attempted murder. My boyfriend, while not wanting to piss the dude off for obvious reasons, gradually stopped giving him rides and answering his phone calls. Well, one summer night when my boyfriend was at work, I was sitting in the living room doing some sort of craft after our son was asleep upstairs. The front door opened directly into the living room. It was a single-family, tiny house on the outskirts of town. My cat was going nuts, his fur standing up and his tall, bushy tail was huge. He was hissing and staring at the door, and when I looked to see why he was freaking out, my heart dropped. The prison dude was standing outside my front door staring inside. I didn't realize it was him until I opened the fucking door. It's a small town, not out of ordinary to leave the door unlocked, and came inside the house. He was tweaking out of his mind, very jittery and erratic. I stood up and said, "Hi, can I help you?" because I didn't know what the fuck else to say. My heart was beating so fast and my mind was going a mile a minute, recognizing that my infant was asleep upstairs and my phone was charging up there too. He said, "Is the kid home?" Oh my God, meaning my boyfriend. I said, yes, he's sleeping with the baby upstairs, and if there was something I could help him with. As soon as I said he was home, his demeanor changed and he became more nervous, saying, I'm sorry, I thought he'd be at work. He left quickly after that, saying that he'd text him later. As soon as he left, I locked all of my doors, grabbed my phone and my son, and called my boyfriend to tell him to come home. We moved shortly after that because I couldn't sleep well at all when I was home alone. This is the scariest part. A few weeks later, the guy got busted breaking into someone's house, sexually assaulting, kidnapping, and threatening the wife of someone that owed him money. He also got caught setting up a hit on somebody with an undercover cop. He will be in prison forever. So if I wouldn't have said that my boyfriend was sleeping upstairs, it could have been me. Damn. Oof.
Okay, this comes from Rhetorical Joke. I was around 21, I believe. I was at my parents' house, home alone, taking a nap. All of a sudden, the master alarm goes off. This is the alarm that blares if somebody trips the motion sensor in the house or you couldn't input the correct code after 60 seconds. Stuff like that. It's very loud. Like phobia-inducing as a child loud. Anyways, I freaked the fuck out for 2 reasons. 1, the alarm always freaks me out. And 2, I didn't set the alarm. So to be woken up by this thing in the middle of the day from a nap is about as startled as I've ever been. I tried to turn it off, but the keypads weren't responding. I finally go downstairs, to the darkest corner of the basement, of course, to the central unit and try to unplug shit. It'll stop for like 20 seconds, then immediately come back on. If ghosts fed off fear, I was a walking, slightly sweaty golden corral. Ultimately, the alarm was shut off somehow by the alarm company. It turns out that there was an age-related electronics malfunction with the alarm unit that had to be replaced. Not an experience I'd like to repeat. I still get paranoid that at any moment the thing will go off. Fortunately, Paranormal Activity hadn't been released yet.
Yeah, right? Jesus. Because the alarm goes off, right? In there?
Yeah. Dude, that Paranormal Activity movie when it first came out freaked me out.
It was a good one. I liked it. This one is Alice in Murderland.
Whoa.
When I was a little kid, maybe 5 or 6, my parents left me home alone with my older sister. My sister was off playing in a room or something, and I had the brilliant idea to try and eat a heaping spoonful of seasoned breadcrumbs. Now, as a kid, I was always stealing food. I would sneak around at night and try to find stuff to eat. Not surprisingly, I almost always got caught. I just really happened to like these breadcrumbs, though. As I triumphantly shoved the spoon in my mouth, I sensed a problem, as the moisture was instantly sucked out of my mouth and I started choking. I ran to the bathroom and was trying to claw the breadcrumbs out of my throat with my hands.
Jesus.
I passed out. Sure, I was going to die, but as I fell, a chunk must have dislodged itself. I woke up on the floor, surrounded by spit, breadcrumbs, and my horrified parents. After that, my sister wasn't allowed to watch me anymore. TLDR, I was a little shit who almost met my untimely demise at the hands of breadcrumbs. That would be a shitty way to go. You like go to hell or heaven. They're like, "How'd you get here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I ate some breadcrumbs in the pantry."
Suffocated on breadcrumbs. All right, this is from Shitty Dog Trainer. I'm a dog walker and sitter. The name fits. I was at a client's house at around 10 p.m. to take the dogs out one last time before bed. I entered the house using the garage keypad and then took the dogs out for a short walk around the empty lot next door. The house and garage were in plain sight the entire time. There was no one outside that I could see. When I took the dogs back inside, I saw that one of them had peed in the laundry room. I closed the laundry room door so they'd stay in there with me while I cleaned up the pee. 30 seconds later, someone aggressively started pounding on the door. The dogs went ballistic, and I just froze. I started thinking of all the possibilities. They didn't try the front door first. They didn't approach me outside. They didn't announce themselves or say anything. Perhaps it's just a neighbor or something. But what grown adult would think it appropriate to enter another person's garage and knock aggressively on the door into the house without explaining themselves when a young girl is inside alone? Whoever it was had to have seen me outside. I was out there less than 2 minutes before, and the houses in the neighborhood are spaced very far apart. You can't walk from one house to another in that time. I couldn't hear if someone opened the door or not over the dogs barking. There were no windows in this room, and I left my cell phone in my car. I was fucked. I sat with the dogs for 20 or 30 minutes awaiting my fate. Sick of waiting in fear, I searched for something to use as a weapon and ventured into the house. There weren't any windows on this side of the house, so I decided to sneak out the back and go around the side of the house. Clutching the wrench I found and making as little noise as possible, I tiptoed around the outside of the house. I couldn't see anyone. No cars, no people. I locked up the house and got the fuck out of there. My boyfriend had to accompany me to all my clients' houses for the next couple weeks. I still get quite afraid when I'm at a client's house and I hear an unusual sound. When the phone rings, my first thought is always the call is coming from inside the house. What the fuck was it?
It's the man from the basement.
It's creepy as shit, actually.
And this one is from Alpha Lantern. My time to shine. Every day, I would take the school bus home, then have to walk like 3 blocks to my house. Some things you need to know before the story is that we have a house of recovering alcoholics that are across the street. Some of the nicest people. My dad goes over and frequently talks to them.
With a beer in hand.
With a beer in hand. With a big bottle of vodka. Also, you need to know that my dad is really into motorcycles. So I'm walking home, and as I get inside, I'm all by myself. And after about 20 minutes of sitting around, there's a rapid knock on the door. My first instinct is to grab my throwing knives. What? I go look through my sister's window to see who's at the door. There was a guy who looked tired, out, and in trouble, holding a pistol in his hand. So I go to my room and just wait.
He brings throwing knives to a gunfight.
Like, why would you assume throwing knives? Okay. After that, one of the guys from the house across the street knocks on the door. I trust him, so I go and ask him what's up. He has a motorcycle helmet in his hand and asks if it was my dad's since I was laying in our front yard all day. What the fuck is going on with the story? I say no, and he keeps it. Now, fast forward a couple of hours, and I'm watching the news story on the TV, and this guy had robbed a bank and got away on a motorcycle and tried going into homes asking for shelter from police. If people refused him, he shot them on sight. This guy had come to my neighborhood, found out it was a dead-end cul-de-sac, and went around door to door. This was the guy I saw at the door at the first time. I could have been murdered if I answered the door. Well, I mean, he had throwing knives, so we could have fought him.
Okay, this is from Free Latita.
Free the Tita.
God. One time I woke up at 3:30, like randomly, like I sometimes do, usually around that time. And then someone knocked on my door. I panic if someone knocks on the door in the middle of the day. This is 3:30 in the morning, so I'm convinced it's a serial killer. Yeah, there's no good knocking on the door in the AM.
Yeah, you don't like going to your friend's house at 3:30 in the morning unannounced?
No, I'm going to come here at 3 a.m. and start ringing your doorbell like crazy.
Hey, I told you I was delivering at like 4:30 around your neighborhood. I was like, I should just fucking
but I have a
kick
camera.
his door.
You just
I kick it open.
Kick it.
You just run up with my face covered, kick your door a couple of times, and then later on the podcast next week, you're like, I have the craziest story. Some guy ran up to my house with his hands covering his face. He kicked my door 3 times and ran away.
He was small and weak like you,
He also looked like a little bitch.
I just lay there for a minute to see if they would knock again, and they don't. So I get up out of bed and stand at the top of the stairs where there's a set of half walls that I can't even explain, but they give me good cover to see who's at the door. So I don't see anyone there, but I'm super freaked out still, racing heart, super anxious, and then I remember that my sister, who never locks doors, had been out for a smoke late night in the evening. So my stomach just sinks. Is the door even locked? What if the person just came right in with their knives and all? What if they're just
with
out
their throwing knives?
Yeah. What if they're just still out there, waiting in the dark? God. So I have to at least go see if the door's locked, quickly, but silently. The knob could be turning with every careful step I take. So I rush down through the kitchen, past all of these huge knives that always get left out on the counter, because why put them away when you can just leave them on the damn counter for serial killers to see through the uncovered window of the door, which was, of course, unlocked. So I lock the door and go back to bed.
What the fuck is with these stories and knives? All right, this one is from JLM Kamahan, 81. Right after high school, I was working at a large evil discount chain. Anyway, I agreed to take a friend who had recently wrecked her car to get some groceries and give her a ride to work. Time ran short, so she was going to be late for work, so I agreed to drop her groceries off at the house she was renting a room from. So I walked into the house, put away my friend's stuff, and helped myself to a PB&J. All the while, I kept hearing police cars and fire trucks and the like flying past on the road in front of the house. I didn't think anything of it because the road was pretty notorious for bad accidents. So I'm sitting on the couch and I get a frantic call from my friend asking me where I was. I tell her I'm at the house, and she frantically tells me to leave and come to the evil conglomerate that we both work for. I shrug, agree, and hang up. I grab my stuff and get back in the car and head out. As I'm leaving, I notice that the emergency services guys are really close. I even get stopped on my way out of the neighborhood. They checked my tiny Festiva for gremlins and set me on my way. Long story, evil, scary, rapey convict walked away from his prison transport and ended up in my friend's garage while I was in the house.
Oh, Jesus.
Our friend was the local cop later, told me that the convict heard me in the house and thought I was a guy because of the sound of my boots. Thank God for Doc Martens, so he stayed hidden.
Doc Martens for the rescue. Okay, this comes from H2O Ninja. Let me preface this by saying that I don't believe in the paranormal, ghosts, etc. at all. Or at least I didn't before this happened.
Oh, wow. He converted.
He's a believer now. So, I lived in a house that was more than 100 years old and had been converted into a triplex. I had one of the units, and the other 2 at the time didn't have tenants. This was in a very remote part of Central Florida. Oh, it's in Florida.
I saw a crocodile in my bathtub.
Just came soaring through the window. And the house had a lot of history. I lived by myself and was fairly new to the area, so needless to say, I spent a lot of time there by myself. After some time living there, I experienced weird sounds, which I chalked up to the fact that it was an old house. Doors slamming, clicking, quiet whispering, odd feeling, shadows moving that shouldn't, and the sense that there was an overall presence in the house.
What about chains rattling? And then,
Because I didn't really believe in ghosts, but was still a bit freaked out about it when things like that happened, I would say things like, fucking ghosts, or damn supernatural with a smile on my face and try to lighten my own mood. Sounds like he's starting to get a little scared.
Ghosts.
It's like, damn supernatural. Except it's like, fucking aliens. One evening, I was cleaning up a bit and doing some laundry. My laundry room was adjacent to the kitchen and had its own door, which helped to keep the laundry machine noises low in the apartment. I also kept my cleaning supplies in there, brooms, mops, Swiffer, etc. I was going back and forth from my bedroom to the laundry room, and after a few trips, and having just Swiffered the apartment, I went to put the Swiffer away in the laundry room. Man, very specific about the Swiffer. When I go to the door, it was locked. This is an interior door and doesn't have a lock on it. It can't lock, but the knob wouldn't turn, just wouldn't open. It was locked. I freaked out for a second, turned around, walked into my bedroom, took a deep breath, and went back to the laundry room. The door wasn't even closed, wide open. Going back to my mantra, I said aloud, fucking ghost, and just as I finished, the Swiffer, wet jet, squirted me. I wasn't holding anywhere near the button. Scared the shit out of me. I soon after bought a dog, like that would help, and have since moved out. That was the most freaked out I've ever been alone.
This one is from Jess's Muff.
Holy shit. Well, that's the name, so...
I have two. I was 14 and my parents were out for dinner with some of their friends.
A lot of parents out late at night.
Well, don't you want to leave your kids every once in a while? You know? Like, hey,
can't.
figure it out. I
Hope you're alive when I get back. Goodbye.
I remember being in the living room and hearing a noise upstairs. It was really loud, sounding like someone had dropped a TV or something. At first, I thought it was just one of our animals playing. We had a dog and a cat, but then I realized that they were both on the couch in the next room. I waited in silence for a few minutes, but didn't hear anything else. About an hour later, I got up to go to the bathroom. I heard something walk past the door of the bathroom, but again, I assumed it was one of my animals. I was a little creeped out, though, so I called my neighbor and asked if he wanted to watch some TV with me. I told him about the noises and that I was a little freaked out, so he said he'd be over in a minute. 5 minutes later, I get a call from him and he says, I don't want to scare you, but I just saw a guy crawl out of your fire escape from the basement.
What the fuck?
My dad is going to come over and check things out. My friend and I sat downstairs while his dad searched the house with a baseball bat in his hands. He didn't find anything and nothing in our house was missing. I want to know what caused that noise. Story number 2. I think I've told this story on here before, but when I was in college, I moved to a fairly dangerous neighborhood in the cities. I was watching Dexter downstairs at around 2:30 a.m. when I heard a knock on the door.
Dexter's Laboratory or Dexter the Killer?
I got up and turned on the lights without opening the door. I asked who it was, and I heard a woman say quietly, "Hey, can I come in and use your phone?" I don't think it was a good idea.
Nope.
Because I heard stories about people using women as bait to seem helpless and ask to use the phone.
Have you seen The Strangers?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that. And when you open the door, a bunch of guys are waiting behind the corner and burst into your house to rob you. I told her I could call someone for her if she needed help, but I didn't feel safe letting anyone inside. I didn't hear an answer, so eventually I went to sit back down on the couch. 10 minutes later, my roommates come home from the bar, and one of them asked me why there's a bunch of blood on the front steps. What the fuck? I immediately felt like the shittiest person on the planet, and we called the police. A little later, the cops called back and said they found a drunk woman wandering the streets nearby with bare, bloody feet from stepping on glass. It ended up not being that scary in the end, but it really freaked me out at the time. TLDR. A random dude was in my house when I was home alone, and my neighbor watched him climb out of my fire escape. 2. A drunk woman knocked on my door late at night when I was home alone, and I overreacted.
Hey, it's an actual, normal reaction. I don't think it's overreaction.
Bloody feet. Bloody feet. All right.
This is wonton soup. A man tried to break into my house over the summer. It was around the middle of the day, maybe as late as 2 o'clock. I took a break from studying. I took a self-study honors chemistry class over the break. Why? And went into the kitchen to grab some food. I was sitting at the dinner table facing the back door to the deck when suddenly I heard a huge crash. The glass panel on our back door shattered, but it was still in place. Our back door was basically a huge piece of glass with a white frame. I don't know what made me do this instead of running away, but I grabbed a huge glass bowl from the countertop and hid beside the door. The robber pushed his gloved hands through the very bottom of the shattered glass, got glass shards all over the dining room area, and proceeded to try to crawl through. As soon as his head poked through the space where the glass used to be, I slammed the bowl on his head and ran to the study room where I locked the doors and called 911. Ouch. By the time the police arrived, the man had fled the scene. A report was filed, but there was no news of an arrest made. The police took the glass bowl for evidence, and I never got it back. She used her, nicest bowl.
Need the bowl.
I'm going to need that bowl, ma'am.
I saw a cop eating a salad out of it later.
I just went to the police station. It's like their community popcorn bowl now. He's got a little blood on the bottom, but it makes it cool.
This one is from what?
I'm not done.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I apologize.
You always do that. And my turn. No, your turn. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It seemed like it was done.
A few days later, the bowl came back.
The bowl
It was on the porch.
Fuck it. I still miss that bowl.
A few days later, my neighbors checked their security camera for any suspicious activities at the time and saw that there was a part of the footage cut off or something, because 1 second the streets were clear, and the next second a random blue van appeared by my front door. About 3 guys walked out of the van and walked up to my front door. Looked like they were waiting for the guy in the back to break in, unlock the door, and rob the house. I never finished the chem class because I was paranoid that something like that would happen again, which pretty much destroyed my ability to concentrate on learning chemistry. Damn.
Wow.
So that bowl is...
Sorry about your bowl, bro.
Seriously. Hopefully it wasn't like some vintage bowl from your grandma or something.
Yeah. This one is from What the A. There were a few weird moments, but for some reason, this one sticks out. I was home alone at like 14 or so. We had this antique heavy wooden potato bin that my mom used as a trash can in the kitchen. The lid was flipped all the way back on its hinge, laying parallel to the back of the can. I know this for certain because I had accidentally let it slam back like that, and even commented to myself about how I was too lazy to close it at the moment. Anyway, I'm minding my own business watching TV when my dog starts barking at the kitchen, and then I hear the wooden lid of this thing slam shut. My eyes got huge, and I muted the TV, waiting for forever to hear anything else. I finally got up to check, and sure enough, the lid had shut itself, which completely defies gravity. I didn't really know what to do. I just figured, well, shit, if there's a ghost in here, there's nothing I can do about it, so I just kept watching TV.
Fucking ghosts.
What a reasonable response.
Right?
Nothing I can do. Let's watch The Big Bang Theory.
No, it's Forensic Files.
Okay, Forensic Files.
Then this lady just showed up out of nowhere.
Where's your dad?
So I grabbed my throwing
I'm going to
knives.
have to do a BE.
Got my throwing knives and a glass bowl. All right, this is from Meeper88. I was alone in the house around 3 a.m. I'd finished studying and writing, printed out my paper on the house printer, taken a shower, was lying in bed air drying when... Okay, who air dries after a shower on the bed?
That's the second story with air drying, really?
Yeah, it was lying in bed air drying.
Some of you people want to be naked.
What is
on Reddit.
happening? Like a spread eagle just air drying on the bed?
I was like doing gyrations like a helicopter.
And then you just hop in bed that's now moist from your fucking body?
It's like a jump rope.
I don't understand. Like, that completely... Jump rope? Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyway, air drying like a weirdo, and I very clearly heard a door close inside the house. You had to scramble to get dry because whoever's gonna... I was petrified. I was in my bedroom. My cell phone was in my backpack downstairs. The house phone was 2 doors down in the hallway, and I had no idea which door had closed. No idea whether the person who closed the door was closing the door into the house, one of the downstairs doors, or the door next to the bedroom. And I couldn't find anything that made even a halfway decent weapon. While heavy, a compendium of Western literature wasn't going to be very damaging. I froze in fear for a few seconds, then very quietly tugged on an oversized tee and grabbed the sharpest pen I could find. Crept out of my room, saying in a very loud voice, "Hello? Hello?" Covered the entire house, and every single door and window was still closed and locked. No one was hiding anywhere at all. Yet I know what I heard, and I definitely heard a door close. Inside the house. I grabbed my cell phone and went back to my room. I didn't get much sleep that night for having to sleep on a wet mattress, despite barricading the door to my room. Heard a similar sound a couple afternoons later. Realized it was the new printer switching into standby mode. So it sounds like it.
That's hilarious.
Sounds like a door closing. Just.
It's a hefty printer. This one is from Deleted. I was home alone, and it was like 12 a.m., and I heard my dog start barking in the living room. So I go to tell him to be quiet. He quiets down, and then suddenly, from the front door, I hear loud banging and see movement at the door. I noped back to my room and grabbed what was in the closet. I had to get a weapon, and I crept to the front door. Turns out, a few days ago, my mom put this wooden door decoration thing on the front door without letting me know. It was really windy that night, so it banged against the door and sounded like someone was trying to get in. My dog and I are now used to it, but it scared my brother a few days ago. There was another time when my brother was in middle school and I was still in elementary. We were home alone watching Danny Phantom downstairs when the door leading to the garage swung wide open and slammed shut.
Danny Phantom is the shit.
Never seen him. We sent our dog in first, and then my brother went in while I hid behind the couch. It ended up being nothing, and my brother and I joked it off as Danny flying around our house fighting a ghost.
All right. Well, shit, that's going to wrap us up. So if we learned anything, it's have some throwing knives handy. You can use a bowl in a pinch if someone's breaking into your house.
And just air dry naked in your house.
Yeah, apparently no one needs towels. And that's a thing.
Don't get burglarized.
Don't get burgled.
Don't get burgled.
Yeah, but air drying, that's never going to happen. All right, so huge shout out, as always, to our paid supporters of the show, Claytor, Lord of Soup, Curtis and Lara, Jackson, Modelo Time, Mothman, Devin, Conklin family, and Lou. Thank you all for your continued support of the show. We're getting ever closer to being able to get a video on the show, and we're getting really close to going to the Clown Motel with 385 current subscribers on YouTube. Remember, the goal is 500, so when we get to 500, Cleet and I are going to be venturing out to Nevada, to the Clown Motel, all on video, to do some crazy shit. And I didn't realize that the Clown Motel is literally like right next door to a cemetery.
Oh, we'll have to go. We'll go to the cemetery.
We're doing a Ouija board in the cemetery at midnight. It's going to be some good shit. And I think Cleet's going to dress up as a clown, I heard.
Yeah, so. Maybe. If you're listening to us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe, as it really helps us get us out there. And as always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next time.